What the European Union did this morning was restart a load of legal action against the United Kingdom, not actually specifically to do with this legislation that is being proposed, but to do with the way the UK is implementing the protocol as it was written, extending those grace periods. This is legal action that was begun a little bit earlier, was sort of forestalled and now has been restarted by the European Union. Clearly they're not happy with what's going on now, but also they're very conscious about implications of a trade war. They don't want to plunge both the UK and the EU into deeper crisis when it comes to prices and everything else. So this is, I'd say, a tentative measure to express their displeasure. However, we're not launching into anything close to a trade war as things stand.
Indeed, and as you said, the EU may be pretty uncomfortable with that. Let's look at this week, though. We're talking about the Northern Ireland Protocol, we're talking about rail strikes, we're talking about the Rwanda flights. Many are calling it Wedge Week, if you like. But in many ways, whatever you think about it, it's turning out to be quite a good week for the Prime Minister, in that he's fighting on very safe territory from his, at least, political point of view.
Certainly, and I think we saw this in how Sir Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, was sort of boxed in at Prime Minister's questions. Many on his left wanted him to bring up the Rwanda flight last night, clearly the biggest news story of today, as you've been discussing in this programme. But Sir Keir Starmer feels like he can't talk about that because he's being pushed in both directions. He's got to win over a lot of constituencies who actually quite like the idea of a tough policy on borders, and he's wary of leaning towards the left of his party, which say that they should allow a greater deal of migration in this way. So the Labour Party actually saying that it doesn't have a policy, it doesn't agree or disagree with the Rwanda plan, that we need to wait for their manifesto at the next general election to see their policy in this area. That's a tricky position to hold. So clearly Keir Starmer going in today on the economy in general, rather than Rwanda, rather than the strikes, and rather than Brexit. Three areas where the Labour Party feels very uncomfortable to assert its own position. So Sir Keir Starmer instead going in on growth. And of course, United Kingdom growth is not predicted to do particularly well next year, the second lowest in the G20. That's what Sir Keir Starmer focused on today. Although Boris Johnson had some lines on that. Of course, the UK on unemployment is doing relatively well compared to other European countries.